Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining for another episode of our podcast. I am excited to have two lovely guests with us tonight or today, wherever you're joining from. I'm here with Arafat, Microsoft AI MVP, and I'm excited to be talking to two of our Microsoft student ambassadors today. I'm going to start with you, Isha. Introduce yourself and tell us how did you land in AI, and then we'll go to Precious.
Hey Somi, hey Arafat. Hope you guys are doing good. Okay, so this is Isha Hassan joining from Pakistan, and a brief introduction about myself that I am a fourth year electrical engineering student at National University of Science and Technology, Pakistan. So, okay, so how did I land in AI? That is an interesting question, though. But my AI journey started back in 2019, I guess, and it was just like my normal summer time. I was just enjoying and everything. That's when one of my friends suggested me, okay, Isha, you should start learning Python because that is like the new language and everything. I was like, okay, fine. So before that, I was that kind of a person who thought coding is not for me. I don't know why did I think that, but that is something that I thought before. But I was more into electronics and that side. But I had my first programming courses. We kind of studied C++, but I just got through it somehow. And but when in summer 2019 I started learning Python, I was like, okay, this is something interesting, and it's way easier than what I studied before. That was C++. So I started learning it, and by the end of the course, I thought, okay, I'm good with Python now. Okay, I've done it. But then jumping to 2020 when this COVID situation happened and everything was closed down. There was no university. We only had some online classes, which actually no one was interested in, but yeah, we had to. So that's when the same friend came up to me and said, okay, there's this course I saw on Udemy. It is of Angela Yu. It is a boot camp of data science. So I heard very good reviews about it. So let's do it that together. I was like very jobless, had nothing better to do in life. So I was like, okay, let's do it. By the time I did not have any idea, okay, what it is and how it works and everything. But that was actually the time when we thought, okay, you know what, we need to work on our skills rather than just, doing good in our coursework, because that is something that we need in today's era. So that's when I started looking into AI. I started searching about it, like the applications and projects that are being done around. And that is something that kind of excited me. Okay, I should give it a try. So I started learning, I did that course. It went very well. Um, that's when I kind of got into AI, and I was like, okay, let's learn about it. I started learning. I did multiple courses. I did one of the course on it was a specialization actually by Andrew NG. I did that, um, and it was fun. Meanwhile, I was also doing mini projects, like just to test myself how things work. Um, I did like very like fun projects, kind of just to test my own thing and to see how things work. So that's how it kind of started, and from then there's no going back, because from that learning phase, then I got into like some practical projects I did with one of my senior, and then to now doing my FYP in AI, and probably proceeding my masters in the same field. So yeah, that was
That's
my
very
AI journey.
interesting. What a nice friend that you've got who
Yeah.
pushed you through AI,
Yeah.
who
That
saw your
is true.
talent. That's very interesting.
And
Yeah.
one
How
thing
about
which
you?
is one thing which amazed me about your thoughts is the skills side of it. So you really wanted to get into the skills part along with your
Yeah.
coursework, which is seen that not everybody who's studying at this young age are are more focused on. So this is really cool, and I think this is the way to go these days. That you should have those skill sets or skills to move forward with your coursework. So really cool. And sorry, it's over to you, Precious, for your intro and your interest in AI.
Hi everyone, my name is Precious. I'm from Nigeria. I just recently graduated my degree in computer science. That's a brief intro. How did I land in AI? I think I gained my interest in AI from movies. There was this particular movie, I think it was IT, where there was a whole bunch of automation and the rest of them, and it really got me interested in how we could build and what AI was about. And then in 2020, I started. That was when I applied to be Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and on getting it, I think it was basically joining as a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador that pushed my interest in AI, because there was a lot of resources available, and I met a lot of people who were already in AI, who gave me they gave me resources to learn. They gave me projects to work on, and also I think my lecturer also was another person who pushed me to learn AI, because he told me about the possibilities, and uh, it was an emerging field, and well, where I'm from is an emerging field, and what I could do to like push and build and help other people around here. So using that, I bought some courses on Udemy to start learning. I started learning Python also along the way, and I think from there I just started building up. And currently, not currently, I started writing some courses and some technical things on AI now. And some AI projects I've done. I did something on text analytics. I built a sentiment analysis system using Python. I also worked on the speech to sentiment analysis system, and some other few like smaller things using actual AI also. So it's been a gradual process, but it's moving there.
Nice one. Um, you talked about how you get into AI, and also you mentioned that there's extensive documentation that and a lot of resources that you could like read through and understand, get up to speed. That is very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit? I guess you already touched base on that one on the technical side of the project. So, in terms of technical skill set, was it all Python, or you needed to learn other um, technical or language, programming language, to be able to set things up?
I learned Python starting because
So that's a
that's what,
key one to
yeah,
start with.
yeah, that's what they said. If you had to learn Python before you start AI or data science, so I had to learn Python. But I also started like a community using JavaScript to do AI
Oh, okay.
projects. Yes, so I I tried to like branch into something new. Okay, since everybody was
That
saying
sounds
Python, and I said, okay, let's try something else and see if it's going to work out also. So,
nice one. Nice one. So if anybody wants to get into the AI field, so I guess one of the key skill set is Python. Is there anything that individual needs to learn or know about if they want to jump into the AI land? That's a question for both of you, Isha and Precious.
okay. I think Python is the first.
Is the first?
Yeah, based on the simplicity of the language and working with
Oh,
this
okay.
type of
So if a person
projects.
doesn't have a programming language, Python is easy to learn.
Yes.
Nice.
According to me, I think Python is the most important thing. Python, or actually now people are even going towards R. So any one of these two languages is a must for getting into AI. And I think the other thing is your statistics and probability skills, because mostly AI and all the machine learning things, they work on probability. So if you have good concept of probability and statistics, I think it make things very easy for you to even understand how things are working and how the algorithms are working and everything. So I think these are the two basic things that you need to have an idea about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think statistics and probability makes a lot of sense. So you cannot escape maths from it as well. And whoever is good at maths is can be very good at these things. Moving towards the project part. So we remember that we had a discussion in the past with both of you, and you shared your ambitions or the ambitious projects which you were working on. So would you like to tell us a bit more about it, Isha and Precious? So you can start. We can start with Isha. You can tell us what was your project about and technical aspect of that as well, please.
Okay, so the first project that I did, it was actually part of my coursework as well, the course which I was doing. So it was more like it was just like a prediction of housing prices. That was like the most basic thing I ever did, and it was something. It was the first thing, so I remember it. So it was just like we had to apply a normal linear regression to find out things. That was like the first project. Then I was just sitting and there was this I opened my email and it was full of spam emails. I was like, shit. And that is like one of the very basic projects, and like I think everyone that gets into AI do this project as just a test thing. So I did that. I was like, okay, let me try that too. So I kind of took help from internet and here and there, and I did that thing, and I kind of applied it, and it did not work perfectly, obviously, but it did kind of work. So that was like, then there was this thing that I had malaria attack. So I was like, okay. And then I was kind of sick and everything. But after I recovered, I was like, okay, maybe we can get into this side as well, that biomedical side. And I did a project that detected malaria. So it was basically using convolutional neural networks. It was a project which detected malaria from blood cells. So that was one of the first biomedical related project I did. It was just on my own. It was nothing like I did not do it for anyone. I just did it for fun. So that was one of the project that detected if the blood cell is healthy or infected. Then the first practical project that I did, it was with one of my seniors who was already working as a freelancer, and he was working with one of the companies, and I kind of approached him that I'm into. He was also like working in this field of AI, so I kind of approached him. I was like, okay, I'm learning these days, and I want to get more into the practical side. When he was doing a project with a company that with a construction company where they had to see that if all the workers at the construction site are in proper safety gear or not. So that was one of the project. It was like we used YOLO V5 for that, and it was a pure application of computer vision. So that is what we did. And now that like then we had to decide for our final year project. So I right away knew that I was going to do it in this field. So next I had to decide, okay, what particularly in this field. So that's when we thought that we're going to go into biomedical, because first thing that is something that has scope, and it is fun doing as well. So right now we are working on osteoarthritis, Like we are grading osteoarthritis through X-ray images, and we are applying different neural network techniques and just looking around. For now, we're just looking around which technique suits our model the best. So yeah, for now, these are the small projects I did.
I think they were not small. You wish, like I wish I was that much full of AI at my time. Moving towards pressure, and then we'll come to the one more part of challenges. But let's hear from Precious. Precious, what was the most interesting project you did on AI?
Okay, the first personal project I started with was my speech to sign language and sentiment analysis system. Where okay, I started with Python and I built and trained the system to work as well, and also the speech part. But it's kind of got challenging at some point because this was my first project and I like tried to dive in head first with bigger parts. So I thankfully I got introduced to Axio and I moved to JavaScript. So using that, I built the system using React, Axio AI API services. I used AWS Amplify, and I think I used Node.js also for my backend to store my videos. And well, it was it was fun because I had to learn new things and had to apply new things to make it work. And I think the first practical project I did was it was also through a friend. I He was working at an e-commerce company and they needed something like a customer segmentation system where they wanted to know which customers, like which their target audience and which people they would push certain products to. So I worked with him and we built it using RFM analysis and k-means clustering. And it was kind of very insightful because I had to use my web experience working with AI to convert it into a web platform so where users could just upload a .csv file and then it will classify the users based on the criteria that they selected. So I think that was one of my first practical systems using AI and it was very, very cool.
Yes, it was. Sentiment analysis is very close to my heart. So, what I have during my days of learning, I created one of the libraries which is still being used. So, and it detects the sentiment of the sentence, anything you throw it at. But yes, coming towards the um, osteoarthritis part, Isha, what was the biggest challenge you faced in your project, specifically in this one? And did you overcome that, or you are still? Because I remember you just said that we are still figuring out what is the best technique to apply neural network and how can we achieve that. So is it the most challenging part of it, or is there anything else?
Um, that is more like the fun part, more than challenging, because that's like when we're experimenting with different things around. Like we apply a model and then we see, okay, what are the results, and then we compare it with the other one. So that is like kind of the fun part. The challenge which we found, we came across, it was because we are working with more data now as compared to the projects I did before. So due to that, it increased the computational complexity of the model. So for that, we actually require like proper GPUs and all. But currently, I did not have a personal GPU at home. Obviously, in university we have, but if we have to work in home, so I did not have a personal GPU. That's when we, you know, that kind of acts as a hindrance in the project because obviously delay training times and everything. So that was one of the challenge we faced. And we kind of overcame that challenge because we switched to the online platforms that were available for the training and everything. One of them is Google Colab, obviously. Then there is Kaggle and all of that. So that kind of really helped us through that part where GPU was not needed in a sense that we kind of got a subscription of it and we started working on that. So that kind of resolved the problem. But another thing that lately I've come across is collecting data. That is kind of like, obviously we get data for the normal things. We like, there are a lot of data sets on Kaggle and other websites, but when it comes to some specific applications and some specific projects, collection of data is kind of the hard part, I think, at least for me. Yeah.
I wish I was a student now. I guess there's a lot of exciting things that you get to do, and there is no like project commitments or deadlines that you have to meet and you have to make things work. So you are free to try out and learn. And I guess that is super exciting. I guess I missed a lot. I need to go back to the university where I don't have any commitments so I can do these things. That is interesting. That is very exciting. Um, on that note, how do you get enough like because to me both you mentioned Isha and Precious that you're learning through your project. So you are facing new things and you have to learn new skills. You have to try it out to see how it works. It's like a trial and error. How do you keep yourself motivated? Do you get enough mentoring? How do you move forward to your goals? And if there is any difficulties, how do you tackle those difficulties? I'm just excited to see how you guys keep motivated and how do you do these things the way that you two do? Or we can start with Aisha and then we go with to Precious.
Okay, there come points when I'm just like exhausted. I'm like, okay, this is not working. I cannot do this anymore. Like, there definitely come those times. But something that keeps me motivated, like when I go through that part, I just open LinkedIn. That motivates me the most. Because I open LinkedIn and I see all of these people working into different projects, different things, different ventures, and I see people building like actually, you know, solutions for the problems we are facing in our daily lives, which are not, we don't consider them problems until we see the solution and we're like,
Mm,
okay, yeah, that was a problem. So that is something, when people around are working on these practical problems and they find solution to it, and then you just like, okay, I want to do that as well. So that is something that keeps me going, at least. And definitely LinkedIn gives me a lot of motivation because I see people working around doing things and I'm like, okay, yeah, me too. So that is one of the thing. And plus we have for our this project which I'm doing right now, we do have deadlines and everything. So that is one another thing that keeps me motivated, that I have to
pressure.
complete this part. Yeah, I have to complete this part. But other than that, it is just um, experimentation. Like, I just experiment with things. I start doing a project. In between, I just leave it because I'm not motivated. Then at some point, I see something. I'm like, okay, I need to get back to that. Then I come back to the project and then I do it. So it's like both ways.
Nice. No, it's so exciting. How about yourself, Precious? How do you keep yourself motivated?
Uh, I think uh, I, I think it's just looking at how other people's projects basically and what the impact it would have on people's lives, as she said. So that's one of the
Exactly.
reasons. And I think there was a time, particular when I was building that system, a lecturer took me to the School of Dev to talk about my project there. And the reception I got was really amazing because it said it was something that was like that they were particular about. So it was one of the things that kept me going, even when I like my system crashed when I was actually building the project at some point because I did not have like the GPU to carry it. But I still kept getting motivated to continue because of little things like that, people liking it and people just encouraging you to keep moving on. And there's not enough mentoring, should I put it, in terms of technicality. I get a lot of theoretical mentoring, but in terms of what I should do and how I should go about it, because sometimes you're going to train a model for like 2 3 days and a little error is like going to just break everything out and you're looking for where it's coming from. But most people don't really like understand what is happening in the code. They just understand that okay, if you do this, if you do that, it should happen. So that's kind of like an imbalance in that part because you also know the theoretical part is just like a more focused on that practical part, and there's not enough mentoring in that aspect because in my country it's not a popular um, part to follow. AI is not really popular here, so it's kind of also like an issue in my journey. But like the impact it will have on people's life, it's basically the commitment and the motivation that I have to keep going.
Oh, this is there are too many things. So one of them is you said that there is a there's an improvement required from mentoring side. There's not enough mentoring. AI is obviously AI is not common everywhere. This is true. It's not just your region specifically precious. It's I think it's in the most of the parts of the world. But coming to one of the questions that are there enough opportunities specifically for the girls like you in your region, or if we take everybody within that umbrella, like not just girls, even for everybody else, do we have the opportunities for everyone in the field of AI, whatever it is, like however narrow it is? Do you see opportunities, or if there are not, then generally speaking in the software development industry, is there enough talent over there, or is there enough work over there?
Uh, kind of. I think it's just recently people started putting like focus on things like that because I think the past year there've been a lot of events regarding that data science mostly focused, and I think there've been more women focused programs to teach women into getting into data science and getting into AI a little. And sorry, what was that last question? I
So
skipped
my
completely.
last question was, do you think that is there a still a problem over there in your region in Nigerian, or in a broader African region, that there are people who have got the skills but they do not have jobs, or there are jobs but they don't have more people?
Okay. Yeah, the unemployment rate is kind of high a bit here. So most people look outside the country to get jobs, applying for remote roles and looking for how to because there are no more jobs here in terms of tech and so, especially for AI, if you're branching into AI, you're definitely having to you have to look outside the country to get something. So, internships, there's none. AI engineering, there's none. So, that's also an issue. So, even if you learn it and you want to further, getting the job to also do practical work is an issue.
Okay, so and you also mentioned about, and Isha also mentioned about this, that you you were not having the GPU access because Isha said that it was there in her university, and I think it was the case similar to you as well, Precious, that you did not have it because of the cost, of course, involved in it, because of the hardware capacity of it, and others. But what if we get you the access to get if we as in people from the community can get you the access to the cloud services like Azure, and we can give you the credits for Azure to train your model on it. Will it help? So if you can just give me an answer in yes or no, both of you, that would be great.
Definitely,
Yes.
yes.
All right. Okay. So this is something we really wanted to know, and because the reason for this podcast is to bring your experiences to the global scale, and to learn about what is the problem which you are facing constantly, and how you are overcoming that, and of course what brilliant work you guys are doing. So now, since we are at the end of our, our episode, we will include two of the or three of the questions around Microsoft Ambassador Program. So now, first, we would like to know, Isha, from you that how did you become an ambassador?
Okay, so I was just as usual going through the LinkedIn profiles. So Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador program wasn't very famous in um, at least Pakistan till like 2018. It kind of got famous after that. There were ambassadors definitely, but it wasn't this easy to get in there, I guess. So the thing is, I was going through one of my friend's profile who got into this Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador program, and I contacted her and I was talking to her about it. That what's the procedure and everything, because I was really interested in it. I really wanted to get in there. I applied the first time. I did not get in there due to obviously some technical faults in my application. So then I applied the second time, and that is when I got in. It is not very difficult thing. It's just it all depends on your application, how you put yourself out there, and it's basically it's not even that you need to have like proper technical skills or you should be very good at something to be in this program. It is just your thought process, and it's just how you are going to take things to the community, and to how are you going to benefit the community. That is all what is needed and asked for. So if I and back when I applied for this program, I wasn't even very technically sound. I was just like in the learning phase and still trying new things and all of that. So it's not that you need like perfect skills for it. If you're enthusiastic, if you're ready to learn, and if you're ready to serve, you can get in there. And it is basically that you just fill out a kind of a form that has a few questions about you, about your work, and what is your vision, what is your goal, and the other thing is it like you have to make a video of yourself explaining few of the things, and that's it. Matlab, it's not very difficult thing to get in there. It's just how you put yourself out there. That's it.
One question on
And
that one. It's not something that it's out there. How did you hear about the ambassador program? Is it something that you found out through community or you?
I did. One of my friend was in this program, and she told me about it. That there's this community we are trying to build. We are trying to include more people into it, and anyone who's interested in obviously the technical part and everything, everyone can. First of all, I thought that not everyone can get in there. There are proper criteria and everything for it. But then later, when I kind of talked to her about it, and I got to know that it's not. It's just like if you're interested, you can be a part of it. So I kind of got to know through an MLSA that about this program, and she told me about it, and it was very helpful for me at least.
That's very
so
interesting
in
to
short,
hear because Sorry,
But
go ahead.
before we get into this, Precious, one more question to Isha. That so do you think that till now it has added value to your upbringing in your career?
Definitely, yes.
Okay,
I feel being part of this program has kind of given me a voice that is heard and appreciated. Because
cool.
any problem I have, I can just go up to someone in that community, and like everyone is so helpful that they're always ready to help. They're always ready to put in the effort in solving the problem, or you know, listening what I really am facing, or any challenge that I'm going through. So it's really helpful in that way.
That's very interesting that you said that you're getting a lot of support from that program. So it's good that so there is such program exists, and that program is actually adding values. I'm gonna ask the same question from Precious. How did you hear about this program? How did you become one?
I heard about it from a friend. I had asked him for help for one of my projects, and he referred me to like joining the community because he had also gotten help for his AI project from there. So I also applied and I got in. So it's been like it was a very like helpful. It's a helpful community. When I was part of it, I just graduated from the Microsoft Learning Ambassador community, and also it saved my final year project. If I should say, getting the actual credits I did during the program has really helped me to like get into AI in full and also work on more projects.
That's very interesting. The emphasis on the community and the value that we get through the community. And I guess as Arafat mentioned earlier, as part of communities, we are trying to help each other out. So it's good to hear that you get to these opportunities through the community or friends. And I guess that's what matters. And the other point that earlier you mentioned, Precious, on the impacts that AI has on everybody's life. So at the end, I guess you're trying to make everybody's life better or improve our lives. And I guess if we can use AI and ML in that regards, I guess that's the whole point of the technology. Um, that is awesome. In the course of the time, I'm gonna wrap up the session, but if there is any final things that you two want to mention, floor is yours.
Okay, I would first of all like to thank you guys for inviting us here and giving us this platform to talk about ourselves and put ourselves out there for others to see it. And it was a great experience, and we really enjoyed being with you guys. So thank you guys for inviting us in this.
Likewise, thank you.
No problem.
I was,
Precious.
I'm also excited to be here, and I would love to thank like for the opportunity. I don't think I've ever been on something this big before, and like so it's really exciting, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to talk about AI and issues around it where I'm from.
Yeah,
We
and
were
that
so
too
super excited.
in the early morning. That too in the early
Oh,
morning. Yeah.
thanks for staying up late. No, we were super excited that you two accepted our invitation. We were so honored to have you on board, and I'm excited to see the new generation, what they have to offer. That is super exciting. And on that note, I guess that is a wrap in for our session tonight. Thanks again for joining. And this is the wrap for this episode. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. You know how to reach us, so feel free to reach us if you have anything interesting to talk about or discuss. We'll love to have you as our guest. Thanks again. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay.